All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this morning's onboarding workshop. We're just going to take a few moments to let everybody else trickle into the call. I can see a few people joining at the moment. Welcome to Callum, Paul, Rod, Glenn, and Jeanette so far. Great. All right. Before we get started, then, just to cover off a few Zoom housekeeping rules. I'm sure you're bored to death of hearing about these. You've probably used Zoom way too much over the last 12 months, but just in case you haven't, you do have a taskbar at the bottom of your screen. Here you've got a couple of options. One of the options is the Q&A box. I would encourage you, if you have any questions throughout this morning's session, to please put them in the Q&A box and not the chat box. That'll just help both myself and Matt to keep track of all of the questions that are being asked. If you do want to talk amongst yourselves, then please use the chat box. Just make sure that you change it from panelists to everyone. And in fact, if you want to do me a quick favor and just go to the chat box right now, change it to everyone and just send us a quick message and let us know whereabouts you're joining from this morning. That would be awesome. I'm joining from slightly cloudy Chesterfield, just on the edge of the Peak District. Matt's joining us from London.
Yep. I can't even tell. It's just very dark outside. So let's just say dark and potentially rainy London.
Nice. Looks like we got Tony from Warrington. Warrington's a place I've only ever been when it's raining, Tony. I'm not sure what the weather's like there today. Callum in Farnborough. Cool. All right. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to join us this morning. So this morning's workshop is all about how to create a streamlined onboarding process that leaves a lasting impression with your new clients. And the agenda for this workshop is going to be really straightforward. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a quick look at exactly what is onboarding, because I think it's a term that gets thrown around a lot by software vendors like ourselves and also other people in the industry. And I think sometimes people hear it and they're not entirely sure what onboarding means. So we're just going to take a few minutes to run through what exactly is onboarding and why is it so important for accounting firms. Then we're going to look at the 6 key phases of the onboarding workflow. There are kind of 6 distinct elements to onboarding a new client, and we're going to take a look at how we can start to automate each of those steps. We're then going to share with you a tech map of recommended apps that you can use to start to build out a really streamlined and automated onboarding workflow, because onboarding as a project can sometimes take a lot of time, depending on how many clients you're welcoming to the firm and the various steps that are involved. So, looking at how we can start to use technology and various apps to automate part of this is hugely beneficial. And then last but not least, we're going to get Matt to give us a demo of how to actually manage onboarding inside of Pixie. So he's going to show you the process of adding new clients into Pixie and then what an onboarding workflow looks like and how you can keep track and automate some of the various steps that are involved there. If we haven't met before, quick introduction. I'm Jordan. I'm head of content and community here at Pixie. And joining me today, I have Matt. He's an account manager. Matt's originally from Australia. That's why he talks with a slightly funny accent. So if you have a hard time hearing him or understanding him this morning, I do apologize. Just let us know in the chat box and we'll try and translate for you. So very quickly then, I just want to take a quick pulse of who's in this session with us this morning and just launch the very first poll, which is who is happy with their current onboarding process or workflow. So I've just launched this poll for you right now. And if you wouldn't mind just taking a quick second to let us know how you're currently feeling about your onboarding workflow. Is it very much ad hoc? Is it something that's okay, but it's quite time consuming? Do you have the basics in place? Are you happy with it? Or do you have something that is just quite frankly, all singing, all dancing, and you absolutely love it? So if you can just take a few seconds to answer that poll. Looks like we've only got 4 more people to answer. I'll give you a few more seconds. 2 more people. No pressure, guys. All right, closing off in 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Full house. Thank you. So let me just share those results with you. So as you can see, the majority of people have said that they've got an onboarding process in place, but it's quite manual and it's quite time consuming. We've got a few people saying that it's just completely ad hoc and in our heads, which is completely fine. It's a great place to start from. And then a few people also saying that they have the basics in place, but there's definitely room to streamline it. So looking at this, it sounds like you're all in the right place. We're all here to learn and think about how we can start to improve the onboarding workflows within our firm. Perfect. So what exactly is onboarding? Let's just take a few moments to have a chat about what onboarding is and why it's beneficial in our firm. So if you wouldn't mind just going to the chat box, please, and just posting in there, what do you think onboarding means? What does onboarding mean in your firm and with your team members. I'd just be really curious to learn and see what the various kind of different perceptions of onboarding are. So if you can just go to the chat box, please, and share that there. And I'll read a few of those out as they come in. So Tony says, from getting a yes to getting the engagement letter signed. Yep, absolutely. I think that's definitely one very crucial part of the onboarding process, isn't it? Callum, the process of bringing a new client into the company, getting them set up, and everyone knows what they are supposed to be doing. Yep, precisely. Foxy says, bringing a lead client into the business smoothly and getting their work done. Yep. Jeanette says, getting ID and money laundering requirement fulfilled. Louise says, getting clients set up on all systems, engagement letters signed, and AML docs. Cool. Yeah. Glenn, for me, it's ensuring new clients are comfortable with what it is that we're doing for them and ensuring that they're aware of deadlines. Yeah, absolutely, Glenn. I really like that idea there about making sure that clients are comfortable, because they're starting with a new accounting firm. It could be their first accountant, it could be their third or fourth, and it's definitely a case of managing their expectations and making sure that they're comfortable with how things are going to work. Perfect. I can see a few more coming here, which is great. Thank you very much for sharing, guys. So before we pulled together this workshop, I was also aware what onboarding was, but I didn't actually know where the term came from. So I went and did a bit of digging. And it turns out that onboarding is actually management jargon, like most things in business. It was created in the 70s, and it was all to do with the process of welcoming new employees into organizations and about that orientation period of how you get new team members set up. Now, nowadays, it's obviously it's been adopted and it's used by businesses, not just accounting firms, but businesses in a variety of sectors to refer to the process of welcoming new clients on board. But what I think is really interesting is that there is actually a lot of similarities between what needs to happen to successfully onboard a new team member and what needs to happen to successfully onboard a new client. There's definitely a similar process that we have to go through there to make sure that we're getting some of the compliance things ticked off, like you've mentioned in the chat box, but we're also going through that process of welcoming them, managing their expectations, and making them feel comfortable. So when it comes to onboarding, I think that there are two key streams, and this is what we've noticed from firms onboarding new clients into Pixie, that there are really two kinds of tasks and streams that are happening. The first is an internal stream, and this is all to do with what we need to do to set ourselves, the firm, up for success. And this typically includes things like requesting all of that necessary information, scheduling the tasks and work, getting all of the compliance stuff ticked off, like you've mentioned, like anti-money laundering checks, etc. And then also setting the new clients up on the various systems and apps that we use within our firms. And looking at the chat box, it seems like this is very much where you guys are all focused, like managing all of this internal stuff and trying to get this done as efficiently and quickly as possible so that you can start working for your clients. But I think that there's also another stream to onboarding, and it's something that often can get overlooked because we're so busy trying to just get all of the stuff internally done. And this is more of an external stream. And externally, it's all to do with what we need to do to set our clients up for success. So this includes things like welcoming them into the firm, managing their expectations really carefully about how things are going to work, what they need to expect, and when things are going to happen. But also leaving them with a really good first impression, because they've just made the decision to work with you guys. And for some, it might have been an easy decision. For others, it might have been something they really had to think long and hard about. And what we want to do is just to make sure that they've made the right decision and reduce that buyer's remorse, and make sure that we're leaving them with a really great first impression. And I think this is something, Glenn, you were hinting at there in your answer, which is about making them feel comfortable with exactly what we're doing. So what we're going to show you today is how you can actually build an onboarding workflow that covers both of these things simultaneously. So not only does it help you take care of all the internal stuff in terms of requesting info, dealing with AML and getting clients set up, but it also ticks a lot of boxes on the external stuff in terms of managing clients' expectations, giving them that great customer experience, and really giving them a bit of an effortless experience in terms of working with you and your firm. Cool. I'm going to launch another poll now. Again, just to take a quick pulse on what areas of onboarding you guys currently find challenging. So let me just launch this here. Which parts of the onboarding process do you currently struggle with the most? Is it getting information from clients, managing client expectations, keeping track of everything that needs to get done, wowing the clients and leaving a great impression, dealing with compliance tasks, or setting up and delegating tasks to the team. And this one is multiple choice, guys. So if all of those are a challenge, feel free to tick them all. If you only think that one or two are a challenge, then just tick the one or two that are most applicable. I'll just give you a few more seconds there. All right, 3 more people again. Time's ticking, guys. 2 more people. All right, I'm going to end the poll in 3, 2, 1. Ended. Let's have a look at these results. So, number one, the two, well, kind of joint first, the 2 biggest challenges that people are facing is, number one, keeping track of everything that needs to be done. Yeah, there is a lot of work that needs to get done in onboarding new clients. 100%. This is definitely a challenge. Then also number 2 here is wowing our clients and leaving a great impression, which really comes back to that second stream here, which we were talking about, which is the external stream. And then we've got in 3rd place, getting information in from clients. Looks like joint 4th place is managing client expectations and dealing with compliance. And then, oh, it's joint 4th with setting up tasks as well. Great. Okay. Thank you very much for sharing that, guys. That's really interesting to see what your kind of biggest challenges are around onboarding. So now we understand a bit more about what onboarding is and what the various challenges are involved in the onboarding process. Let's just take a quick look at what the 6 phases of onboarding are. So looking at various onboarding workflows that other people are using in Pixie, we've pulled together a very simple flow chart of the different elements of an onboarding process. Now, the first step is all about getting the engagements and payments set up, because without engagement letters signed and without some kind of agreement around how your clients are going to pay you, ideally it's on something like a fixed fee direct debit. But if you're still using hourly billing, then you just have to have some formalities and processes around that. This is the first thing that we want to get ticked off. The second part of the onboarding flowchart is all to do with welcoming the new client to the firm. So introducing them to the firm, letting them know what to expect, but then also starting to request all of the information and documentation from them. The third part is very much the compliance tasks. And I'm not sure if compliance is the correct term to use here. It's just the only term I could think of that kind of covered these bases. And this is all to do with anti-money laundering checks, which are, a requirement for you to do, getting authorizations from HMRC, and also if they're coming from a previous accounting firm, requesting professional clearance for you to be able to work with them. Looking at step number 4, this is then client setup. So setting the client up on various different apps, but also setting them up everywhere else internally. So, if you're using document management systems or various different tools to keep track of things that your clients do, you need to make sure that you've got them fully set up and integrated in the firm. Step number 5 is then a bit more of an external touch, which is sending some kind of welcome package. So letting them know what their support looks like, who they need to speak to, when they can reach out to them, how they can reach out to them, but also sending some kind of welcome pack. It doesn't have to be a hamper full of flowers and chocolates and sweets, etc., but just a little something to welcome them into the firm. And I'm going to share with you a little bit later something that Kieran Phelan at Cloud 360 Accounting does as part of his onboarding process, because we actually have one of his onboarding workflow templates available as well. Oops. And then last but not least, we have finally getting them set up on the monthly services. So once all of this other stuff has been taken care of, we can hand the new client off to the team, or if it's just yourself, you know that the onboarding process has been completed. And at this point, we can schedule the recurring services and start working on them. So this is just an overview of what an onboarding flow might look like. I'd be curious to know in the chat if you think that there's anything missing here, if you think that the order can be changed, if you think that there's anything that we can add or take away from it. I'd just be curious to hear what feedback you have. It's all silent so far, which means maybe it all makes sense, maybe it doesn't. All right, nothing in the chat, no problem. I'm going to move forwards then. So Now that we understand what the 6 phases of onboarding look like, one of the questions that we're going to ask ourselves is how can we start to streamline these various steps, and how can we start to bring some automation in to really take the pressure off us and the team when it comes to completing them. So we're going to take a look now at what an onboarding tech map looks like. So this is by no means the only way to do things. This is just our recommended way of setting up the tech so that you can build and create a streamlined onboarding process that starts to automate some of these elements that you can see in this flowchart here. But before we do that, I just want to ask another poll. I want to keep you guys engaged this morning and make sure that, that we're all engaged in the session. If you could just let me know, roughly, if you have an idea, how long does it currently take you to onboard a new client within your practice? So if we think about the end-to-end process of sending out letters of engagement all the way through to dealing with, you know, all the AML checks, but then also getting them set up with the recurring services and making sure that the team are aware of what they need to do. How long does this overall process take, would you guess? So if you can just let me know in the poll. I'll hang on for a few more seconds. All right, just 3 more people to vote. 2 more. Perfect, full house. Let me end this and share results. All right, so it looks like the winner here is about 4 to 6 hours to onboard a new client. Second place is 2 to 4 hours. And then we've got 6 to 8, 8+, and 1 to 2 hours. So we're looking around about the 4 to 6 hour mark in terms of how long it takes to onboard a new client. And I guess if we think about that in terms of, okay, 4 to 6 hours a client, times by however many clients we're currently onboarding or planning to onboard a month, times by, you know, how much we're currently paying team members to do this manually, or, you know, different pieces of tech, it can start to add up both in terms of time and cost. So trying to figure out how we can automate some of these steps here is going to be really beneficial, not only from like a time and cost saving perspective, but also from making it easier for you and your clients to get everything working. So this is an overview of one way that you could automate and streamline your onboarding process using a number of different apps. So on the left-hand side, we have Practice Ignition and Go Proposal. You might already be familiar with all of these. If you're not, they're both proposal payments apps where you can send letters of engagement, get those signed electronically, and then also get the payment set up. So they're really taking care of that very first part of the flowchart we looked at. What we then do is that we can use Zapier to connect those apps to Pixie. And by doing that, we can automatically create the client record in Pixie, which will do a couple of things. The first thing that it will do is it will automate the AML checks here at the top using an app that we have an integration with called Zama. Zama is a really slick and streamlined AML tool that makes it really easy for your clients, your new clients, to complete identity verification and get all of that compliance stuff ticked off. So we can automate that completely so that we don't have to do anything manual there. We can also automate the link through Companies House so that we bring through all of the year-end deadlines, confirmation statement deadlines, incorporation date, and all of the other information that we need. And then looking beyond that, in the top right corner, we can trigger an onboarding workflow template, and that's what Matt's going to be walking us through shortly. And an onboarding workflow template is really that process that's going to help you to keep track of all of the various steps of onboarding, because going back to one of the earlier polls, the biggest challenge that came out of that was just keeping track of everything that needs to be done. And having a really, robust onboarding workflow template is going to help you to do that, so you can tick things off as you go through. At the bottom, we have the recurring services that can be scheduled automatically once a client's been created. So instead of having to plan the work and add it in, manually, we can trigger that automatically through the integration so that those relevant services get applied. And then taking it one step further, if you wanted to, we can use something like Google Forms or Jot Forms or Cognito Forms or any of these form builders out there to send questionnaires to our clients, capture that information, and then feed it back into Pixie onto the client's record as well, which again is going to save time for both you and the client. So that's just one idea of how we can start to streamline and automate the end-to-end onboarding process. So again, just going back to this flowchart here, engagements and payments, you can use tools like Ignition and Go Proposal. You will then trigger some workflows in Pixie, which will deal with this requesting information automatically and, sending those welcome emails to clients. You can then trigger the compliance stuff through Xamarin to do the AML checks. The client setup, you would have the steps for that within your workflow template in something like Pixie. The welcome package, you could again automate that to be sent out via email from inside Pixie, or just to create a task to send it from elsewhere. And then the last thing here, the monthly services, again, you can automate the creation of those recurring monthly services so that you don't have to worry about missing tasks and deadlines, and they all get taken care of. I can see here Glenn has said, love the support from Xamarin. Yeah, Xamarin, the team at Xamarin are great. Question from Nicola. There's no quotation portal in Pixie. No, we don't currently do proposals or letters of engagement in Pixie. We would recommend checking out either Go Proposal or Ignition, both of which are great tools and do that very well. And then using Zapier, you can feed that information into Pixie and get everything else set up automatically. Perfect. So I'm going to take a short break now. And I'm going to hand over to Matt. And what Matt's going to do is he's going to walk us through how to actually manage the onboarding process in Pixie, from setting up new clients to keeping track of all the tasks to requesting information to scheduling the recurring services and everything else in between. So Matt, I'm going to hand over to you and yeah, take it over.
Perfect. Thanks, Matt. I might take over the share for a split second. I saw a couple of good questions there in the Q&A. If you'd like to answer those, maybe as I'm going along here. So what I'm doing, I've just jumped into my Pixie account here. But before we jump into this, there are Pixie users on the call. Thank you for joining us again. And there are some potentially new users as well, or people looking into Pixie. So I'm going to give you a high-level overview of what we do, but I'm going to jump into how we set that up in just a split second. So what we're going to do is actually go into the settings, integrations, because this is what Jordan was talking about, how we connect Zapier, how we connect Company's House, how we connect Xamarin. Now, if we need to know anything more about any one of these, for example, Xamarin, I just click View Details. Here's where I can learn about the pricing, who it is, what it is, and how I can get a demo from them, for example. And as Glenn mentioned in the chat, fantastic hands-on approach from Xamarin. Jacques is the head of Xamarin there, and he is fantastic, so he can help you set this all up, which is great because it's not like one of those things where it's just like, here you go, try and do it yourself, see how you go. It's actually quite helpful. Same with the Zapier integration. Now you can connect through Zapier here. We have a lot of fantastic resources. So again, without just leaving you high and dry, we're going to click Pixie Knowledge Base, which you can access from your account by clicking the Get Support button in the top. And if I search for anything like Zapier, we've got how to integrate with Go Proposal, how to integrate with Ignition, how to connect Zapier to your account correctly. And then we can do further things like how to connect the form, for example. Let me show you that. So what I've done is I'm going to set up a brief Zap, and I'm searching for a form like Typeform, Google Form, Jot Form, Gravity Form, anything that I like that I know, okay, I've got these 10 structured questions I need to collect and gather data from every client I'm going to do an onboarding form for. How do I then get that data from them, instead of me manually transposing it each and every time, straight into my Pixie client file or client record automatically? That's what Zapier does. It takes that data, as long as you have a field built in Pixie that corresponds to one of the fields in your form, it'll come through automatically like this. I'm going to go out of this for a split second. I'm going to create a client, and I'm going to show you how this looks. So instead of just clicking Add Client, I'm going to add from Company's House. I'm going to call it cricket and golf zone. All right. Perfect. So that's the first one there. We've got a choice of 10, but that's the one I know I want. So I'm going to select that. It's coming through automatically and knows it's a limited company. However, this might be like a prospect. I might not actually have them as a client yet, but I want to have all their information there. I want to gather some data from them. So when they do come on board with us, it's just a simple transition from a prospect to a limited company or whatever their entity type might be. Now I've created a client type called limited company. You saw a heap of the other ones there as well, like charity, prospects, super funds, an example of different types. You can just create as many as you like, and who the client manager might be. So for example, myself or Jordan. It's pulling through the address information directly from Company's House. I haven't had to type any of this in yet. And it also brings through corporation date, statement date, registration number, year-end date. But all these additional fields here are what I've built. For example, I've built myself a little onboarding workflow, or like a process from when a client becomes a prospect to a client. So maybe they're a prospect. Yep. I maybe have had a meeting with them. I had a final meeting, final onboarding, and they became a client. When did they become a client? I've created a box in there from the date they became a client. All sorts of other stuff, like I'm going to do accountancy work for them. I'm going to do their bookkeeping on a regular basis. Maybe cleanup work. They're coming from an existing accountant to us. So I'm just going to put as much information as in here that I need. Don't have to do it all now. I can always come back and do it later. But that's a prime example of creating those fields to gather the data that you need, or at least have a field to put data in. I'm just going to save that client for now, and I'll show you how I set those fields up in just a split second. As you can see, it's pulled through the director or the general manager for this example. The only thing that hasn't come through is the email. GDPR purposes, that's the only thing we can't bring. So I'm just going to add that myself and save that. Oh, okay, I'm already using that email. That's all right. I'm using another example. So what I might do is I might just quickly get rid of that email from another client that I have. Oh, it's okay. It's actually my email. Don't worry about it. I will put my personal email in there into Golf Zone. Let's just do this. So let's go this one here. It's just my spammy email that I never check. Beautiful. All right, there we go. So there's my email. It's a limited company. Addresses come through. Link straight into Company's House as well. Now, if any of these dates that we've put in here, like confirmation statement date or year-end change, Pixie will reflect that automatically if we click these three dots and we update from Company's House. Now, this can be done on a per client basis, but chances are you've got more than maybe one limited company. We can do that across the board by clicking clients, the three dots on the right-hand side, updating the dates. Now, the reason why I've done that, and the reason why we can do that here, is because I'll maybe refresh it every Friday afternoon or maybe every fortnight, just to double check that those dates are coming through for us, and then Pixie does the rest. So if we have automatically created recurring work, annual basis, monthly basis, weekly basis, it will update if those are a field applicable to that template. All right, so I've created that client. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into the client, and now we can create a lot of information related to the work we're going to do. For example, the onboarding. So what I can do is I can create a task from the top of the screen here, or I can create a recurring task based on maybe something that I'm going to do for them in the future. But I'm just going to create a one-off task now on the right-hand side. I can also do this across a range of clients. So if I've brought on 5 new prospects this week and I want to give them all the same onboarding look and feel, I don't have to do it for every single client. I can click into my list of clients, select all of the ones I need on the left-hand side, and create a one-off task for them there. I'll show you that at the end for a bit of streamlined purposes. So let's go onboarding. Now I've got a couple of different ones here. I've got just a regular form. I've got one for my UK, and I've got one for a particular client that was very detailed and structured. So I made her something slightly different. I'm going to just call that new client onboarding. I'm going to be the person responsible for that. And look at all this information that Jordan and the Pixie team have put together. We've got a lot of detail here. We've got internal instructions for the team. We've got emails for the clients. We've got AML checks. Everything that you could think of, we've put in a nice structure. And then we're going to create that task. And here we are. We've got all the detail. Jordan's put a quick video in there of how to complete this, how to quickly watch it within 5 or 6 minutes. And then you can learn how to do this as you go. So let's just pretend we've aced that video. We're moving our way through. We can, now we've got some instructions, maybe tick off what we have to do here. We've got links directly into those resources I just showed you, straight into Go Proposal, Practice Ignition. It's really helpful. Jordan set this out in a really smart way. And now we're going to go through and send an email to the client from ourselves. So let's just say we're going to go to the welcome email, it's already pre-prepared. It's pulling through the client's name and any other key fields that maybe the data we needed to pick up, like due dates or year ends or whatever we needed, that can be done by Pixie. Then I can always add the firm name in there if I wanted to. That's something that I can automate, but I'm just going to say, welcome to Matt's Biz. All right. And all this pre-information is already done, AML checks. What I'm going to do is simply send this away and you'll be able to see what it looks like. But maybe I need to request documents from the client. As we can see down here, request client information. I'm going to skip down to this. All the information that I need here, such as maybe bank statements, pay slips, AML information, whatever it might be, I'm not just going to get that via an email. I'm not just going to get it over the phone. I'm going to have it in a secure portal. For example, maybe I send them a link to say, I need you to upload X, Y, and Z, for example, driver's license, all this sort of things here that the client needs to tick off. They're going to then be able to provide that for me. I can also create a link that I may be going to send the client, such as, if I scroll down to the bottom here, this request files link. So I'm going to embed this in this email, just as an example here. I'm going to say, upload Rex for me here. I could be upload documents, click that request files link. And now I've generated a unique link for this particular client. I'm just going to quickly send this off. I can always adjust anything that I need to. But let's have a look from the client's perspective briefly and see what they see. Here's what they're going to see. Of course, we're going to make sure that we've nailed it and there's no highlighted areas and anything that's not quite correct. But straight away, we've got a link here for the client to jump in and provide us their documents. So my business name is Flying Fox. I have my business logo up the top here, which I've set up in my Pixie account. Not only that, but my email signature is also coming through here from Gmail or 365. So if you're using either of those providers, please make sure in your Pixie settings that you have your signature in there, because everything will look and feel professional, exactly like you would be sending a regular email from outside of Pixie. Your client won't know the difference because it'll look and feel exactly the same. Maybe I'm going to upload something for the client. Let's just say phone bill, perfect. I'm going to put that in there and add the note and say, is this the correct document? Now back into the task that we're working on. Maybe we've completed that. We've worked our way through that. We're up to step number 4. I can see the file that the client has sent me there, Matt's phone bill for a particular period. We can always override the naming convention of this particular document because like 90% of the time it just comes through as maybe like a screenshot or something that's not entirely correct. We can always rename it to make finding that document easier for us, especially if the client has sent us a list of information, or maybe it's done on a regular basis. All those documents will be saved against the client record. We can also see a history of email correspondence here between myself and whoever. Here's the response from the client asking, is this the correct document? And if I respond straight out of Pixie, it's exactly like responding from a regular email. So you'll be able to see that in your sent items in Pixie and your sent items in your 365 or Gmail. We can also leave notes within this job. Maybe, like, he's a great client, whatever. Or maybe there's multiple people working on this job and we want to say, all right, so Jordan to review, Matt has completed steps 1 to 9, whatever it might be. We can always liaise with each other within this piece of work. And now I'm coming down to complete what I need to. And again, requesting information from the client, AML checks. But this is the one that I wanted to show you because I wanted to create this as a task or a to-do list for the client. So I can copy this, and again, Jordan's written us some nice notes here. Request information. So step 1, please complete the following questionnaire. Step 2, I need these 5 things for you. Okay, so you can always link a questionnaire in here. However, if we have Zapier set up, that's what everything the client provides us can go back into Pixie. For example, maybe like a particular field that we create in our settings pulls through that data straight into Pixie. So let's just, I'm just going to literally nab section 2 there. I'm going to come into client tasks and I'm going to add that here. So please upload the following documents for us. Example, these 5 things. So what I did now, or what I'm about to do, is create a to-do list for the client. I'm going to send this off to them. Again, pre-prepared email. I'm also going to set up an auto reminder. every week, just so they don't forget to do this for me, and hopefully they nail it really quickly so we can complete their work. This is going to always be password protected. So your password is your date of birth. What I can do with this is I'm literally telling them what their password is without actually giving it away. And I'm going to send it off to the client. I can also attach documents for that client within this task. And I can also chat with them here if I need to. Okay. Now let's compare that particular link to the one we just saw before. Again, very much looks the same. Here is the link for the client. If they click on it, the only difference is they're going to get stopped here. Now, how do we provide a particular password or passphrase for the client? Super easy. Let's click into the client record. Now, that's where we identify who Spencer is and what we do all the work for and how the link into Companies House works. This master code here, this is where we can create a personalized code for the client. As you can see, it's 4 random words. This probably won't make any sense at the moment. So what I'm going to do is maybe change that to something more manageable. And that's what I can do to access that link, like the client's date of birth, their nickname, your business name, their business name, something like that they can't forget. You then paste that in. I'm now into what I need to complete for that client. So I'm the client. I'm saying, yeah, I'm going to give you my ID. Maybe we're going to attach a record here. Let's just say, pretend that was the ID. And they work their way through. Now, how do I know that Spencer's given me what I need? And how can I keep a track of this? It's a good question. One of 2 things we can do are either receiving an email internally to say that Spencer's given us the documents that we need, or I can check this little bell icon in the top right-hand side if I'm not a massive fan of receiving lots of reminder emails. That will tell me if Spencer's done what I need them to do. So that's a really helpful little tip there. And if I refresh this page, in live time, I can see that he's completed the first of the 5 steps. I've got the first of the 5 documents that I need. And if he decided to chat with me on the right-hand side, he can also see that, as can I. And that's a really good place to maybe provide some more information, keep on top of the client, making sure that they're feeling confident and they know exactly what they need to do. All right. Let's just pretend this was all nailed. We're ready to move on, and we're going to complete some more information for this client, like we're going to do their bookkeeping services, their payroll, year-end accounts. Going to click back into Matt as the client, or Cricket and Golf Zone, for example. Recurring tasks. Now, this is where we can generate 4 or 5 different pieces of recurring work at the same time. So I'm going to click Schedule Task. Now, I want to do bookkeeping on a monthly basis, and I've got lots of different templates depending on the type of work I do. Payroll on a, let's do that one there, monthly basis as well. Year-end accounts, that one. And maybe I also want to do confirmation statements. All right, let's schedule those. So I've now scheduled 4 pieces of information, but as you can see, this one's starting soon on the 8th of November. This one's starting on the 30th of December. These ones aren't scheduled yet because I created a field that said I need to have a particular key date for this client for both payroll and bookkeeping. So what I have to do now is just simply add those fields in. So let's go. There's a bookkeeping, monthly bookkeeping date. So I'm going to update that. Let's just say it's going to be the end of the month. And the same for payroll. So payroll filing date. I think that was, pretend that's the end of the month as well. And just to make sure it's not that date, I'm going to do that one there as well. So what I've done is I've now triggered when those 2 pieces of work done. Still haven't done the right bookkeeping date, that's okay, but here's an example. So payroll is going to begin 1st of September because I set that date up to start. And that is the reason why that template is recurring on that basis, is because if I show you what the template looks like, I had it set up to go 30 days before the client's payroll date. So maybe there's different payroll filing dates for different clients. I created a field to say, here's the payroll filing date, here's the bookkeeping date, here's the year-end date, confirmation statement date. That dictates when the work starts and when the work can be completed as well. For example, 7-day deadline, recurring every month. Now I've set that up for one client. I don't have to worry about it anymore because Pixie will continue to create that work for me on the recurring basis that I had established. Now, let's say I've got multiple clients that have the same field. For example, payroll. I've got 4 payroll clients here, but I want to start the work for them at the same time. I'm going to select all 4 clients and I'm going to click schedule task. I can select the payroll task and that will then filter and create across those 4 clients. I could also send them all a new email at the same time. I could also create a one-off ad hoc task or a non-recurring task for these 4 clients at the same time as well. So that's a really powerful way that you can leverage what Pixie does. You might have also noticed, how did I create this filter? The reason I created filters for really common things like family groups, my clients, limited companies, leads, an example of making sure I'm on top of the clients that aren't actually in my books yet, but they're ready to become clients in the future. I can then give them a little bit more love. And what I've done is I've just used a filter to create those. All right. I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover there. Let me just triple check with Jordan. Jordan, have we nailed everything that we wanted to demo there today?
I think so. I mean, let's just ask everybody that's in attendance, guys, like in terms of how Pixie can help you to onboard new clients, does that all make sense? Do you have any questions? Is there anything that you would like Matt to kind of go back over and explain in a little bit more detail? Just let us know in either the chat or the Q&A box, and we're happy to go over that. I can see a question from Glenn. Could Pixie negate the need for MailChimp for mail shots? Yeah, absolutely. Matt, you can very quickly demonstrate how to send bulk emails from inside Pixie.
Excellent point. You can do that in 2 ways there, Glenn. The first of which is setting up maybe a recurring email. Like, for example, I've actually got something that might be similar to what you're asking here. It's like a marketing campaign. It goes every quarter and it looks like this. So for example, I've got an automated email, which goes on the first of the quarter for every client. And it just says, hi, in this example, hi, Glenn. Here's our latest blog. We made some great improvements to Pixie, and any new features just get updated there. And I'm pushing the clients to that particular field so they can just have a read of it themselves. That might be an example of, oh, did you know we offer gold bookkeeping package? You're currently on the bronze. Or maybe, did you know we actually offer year-end accounts? It could be like an upsell or something like that. That's a really helpful way of just creating a recurring piece of email. You can also do the same thing at your discretion. Maybe I want to hit all 81 of my clients at the same time. I just click send new email, and that's where I can say something like, hi, well, happy new year, welcome to the firm, we're stoked to have you back, whatever it might be. Or maybe I can personalize that and say, I want to target these particular group of clients. They're all my payroll, but I want to get them all up into the upper most expensive particular piece of service that I offer, for example. You can do it that way as well. Cool.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, Matt. If anyone else has any other questions about things, how to do certain aspects of onboarding Pixie, please feel free to ask. I can see a question here. Does it gather information from the company's office in Ireland? Unfortunately, not at the moment. We do only have an integration with the company's house register in the UK. Yeah, we can only do that at the moment, unfortunately. Great. I'm just conscious of time, so I'm going to take the screen share back off Matt and jump back onto mine. Please feel free to
wanted to mention one thing there, Jordan. Sorry to cut you off. I've had a couple of chats with some Pixie users lately who are using Jotform and I think Google Forms. So we've actually got they've given me access to share their template. So if you want to kind of have a nice starting point for maybe setting up your Zap with that template, we'll set it through at the end. If you'd like to utilize that, maybe a good starting point.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Matt. Great. So the workflow template that you saw Matt working through on the screen for the last 10-15 minutes with all of those email templates and checklists and everything else, if you'd like a copy of that, then this is the link that you need. I'm just going to stick it in the chat box for you now. This template does only work in Pixie. It's a Pixie file, so it can only be opened in the Pixie application. But if you're not currently a Pixie user and you would still like access to the template, I am going to send you a spreadsheet version by email afterwards, just so that you can access all of those emails and checklists and everything else. We don't want you to miss out. But obviously, if you'd like to give it a go inside Pixie, then feel free to use the template in there as well. I'm also going to send you a couple of other onboarding templates from our workflow template library that's on our website, one of which is Kieran's workflow template. Kieran is the founder of Cloud 360 Accounting. They recently won Zero Small Firm of the Year for 2021. They're an incredible firm, really leading the way in terms of the work that they do with their clients and the technology that they use. And Kieran's kindly shared the onboarding workflow that he uses in his firm. And this one is actually only a Pixie template. We don't have it available on spreadsheet. So if you'd like that and you'd like to have a go at using that one, then you would need a Pixie workspace. But alternatively, I will send you 2 of the onboarding workflow templates, including the one that Matt showed you just now on the spreadsheet version as well, so that you don't have to use Pixie to kind of use those in your firm. Perfect. So just want to take a quick poll then, just to kind of see if anybody here would be interested in learning more about Pixie or taking out a free trial to have a go at managing their onboarding in Pixie. I'm just going to launch this very quickly, just for a few seconds. If you do, then Matt will be in touch with you afterwards just to kind of guide you through next steps and kind of talk you through what's needed. If not right now, no problem at all. You're still going to receive all of the workflow templates and all of the resources from the session, and you can take those away and start to use them and hopefully start to streamline onboarding more in your firm. Just going to hold on for 2 more seconds, just a few more people to vote. 3, 2, 1. Cool, end poll. Thank you very much, guys. I can see a couple of questions that have come in, and we are going to move to the Q&A part of the session now. So Callum has asked, can you preview emails? Yeah, Foxy's already answered that one, I think. When Matt was working through the workflow template earlier and you saw him adding the request to files link into the email, that was the email preview right there in the task. So you can edit that email completely. The template will generate the email for you. It will put all of the placeholders in there, like the name of the person, the name of their business, and anything else that's unique to them. But before you actually send it, you can go in there and edit it and take out things that aren't relevant, or perhaps add in additional items that you specifically be asking for that client. So you do have full control. Perfect. Does anyone else have any questions? And we've got just over 10 minutes left. More than happy to answer any more questions if you have them. If you don't, no problem. It's been nice to have you this morning. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us. If anyone would like to learn more about how to do things in Pixie, then please feel free to reach out to myself or Matt. I'd encourage you to go and start a free trial if you don't already have one. I've just put a link in the chat box there. Once you're in there, you'll be able to use some of the workflow templates that we were referring to today. Callum, can you actually see what the email looks like? Yeah, let me show you very quickly, Callum, just to kind of explain how this works here. If you just bear with me 2 seconds. So if I just create an onboarding task right now using the same template as Matt for a client, I'm just going to choose this client here. So this onboarding task has been created. I'm just going to go find it now. There we go. And you can see here that when I go to send an email, I've got the preview here at the bottom. So your question about previewing the email to double check the placeholders are coming in, you can see here the placeholder for the name is in here. These things here aren't placeholders. These are just things that I've highlighted for you to edit in a template to put the name of your own firm and the name of your own AML provider in here. So you would just edit these in the template and then they would be standard in the emails. But everything else, like the name of the person the email's being sent from and the name of the person that you're addressing it to, has been populated here automatically. So this is where you would come and preview the email and make any changes that you want to. Hopefully that answers your question now, Callum. I can see a question from Tony. We've trialed Pixie previously. We're about to move to Office 365 to integrate our email. Yeah, by all means, go start another free trial, Tony. That's no problem. Just head to the website and you can start one straight away. And once you've got that 365 email set up, you'll be able to integrate it straight into your workspace. And then all of your emails that are kind of being sent to clients and coming from clients will be brought in and saved to the client records automatically. Perfect. Any more questions this morning, guys? Question from Callum. Is this only if we set the email to manual? That's correct. Yeah. So the email that you saw on my screen there was a manual email. Pixie creates the template, but you go in and manually send it. The benefit of which is that you do have that control over reviewing and adding in any additional information. If you were to use automated emails, then those get sent automatically as soon as they get triggered. So you can't go and review the automated emails before they go out. You would just make sure that you've got the template properly configured beforehand. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap things up now. If you do have any more questions, please let us know by email afterwards or reach out through support if you're a Pixie customer. We'll make sure that we send you a copy of the recording, the slides, and also all of the workflow templates that we've been referring to so that you can start using those. And if there's anything else that we can help with, then please let us know. And hopefully we'll see you at one of the accounting conferences that are coming up soon. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks, everyone.